good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Good morning. Well, for Damian and I, we are just past the midnight threshold. Jethro is about to meet it. So we're coming from the future, Jethro. We're just going to let you know that, just so you know, I hope I'm not spoiling this, but because we're in the future, we know that Jannik Sinner has beaten Novak Djokovic, which of course you
No
don't know.
way.
Because
No,
you're in the
he just lost the second set where I'm watching. Oh, what a great third set he must have had.
Damian, did you manage to watch it in its entirety, or where were you at?
No. It was actually mostly in its entirety. I think there were, of course, some points that I missed. I was watching darts along with it. I was doing something else along with it. Cooking dinner. But basically, the action here at the Challenger, and then it ended at like 8 p.m. maybe. So
Okay.
I was back for Sinner Djokovic, and I was glad that I was back for that. Tomorrow I'm probably not gonna make it, but thankfully the match is unwatchable anyway. But today I really wanted to be back for
What's the
the
night match tomorrow
evening
night? Oh, it's
session.
Medvedev against Zverev, yeah.
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 Oh
So
dear.
I don't really want to be back tomorrow. Like I'm
No.
totally fine with the action at the Challenger extending until like 10 p.m.
Mhm.
Today I would have been actually I can watch it at the venue. They have Wi-Fi, but I can't watch it on the way. So that's the only real issue. So like 30 minutes of break would be there. But yeah, thankfully I was able to watch it more or less from start to finish.
I like this comment from Anastasia. Rewatching the third set tiebreak. Why not? I mean, it was a match that I think I was excited by before, once the draw was made. And I was excited by it for one principal reason. And it was because there have been so few players, not just this year, but arguably the last decade, who I would feel comfortable about going toe to toe in a rally from the back of the court where Sinner is right now. A year, 2 years ago would be different. Different surface like Wimbledon, different. But I just thought to myself that with the exception of Alcaraz, I can't think of anyone, perhaps Rafa on a good day in the last decade. And if we think about it, Rafa hasn't beaten Novak, I think, on a hard court since 2013. So perhaps even that needs to be considered. Where I would go, I mean, I remember the match with Rude last year, and I was just like, "Oh no, Rude, don't get involved. Don't get involved in this." And this was in the final and stuff. And other players I've watched, Rublev, particularly in the past, albeit in Paris, it was much better. Jethro, what was it like to commentate?
Insane. Yeah. Me and Jamie are quite chatty with each other, and usually we get sidetracked when we're not fully focused on the match. But we couldn't look away for a second. It was amazing. The quality of tennis was just out of this world. Drama. I thought after that second set we were going to watch a 6-2, 6-3 final set to Djokovic, and boy, Sinner was incredible throughout. I mean, that's got to be the best win of his career easily. Even including some of his wins over Alcaraz. I mean, that was just spectacular. I feel exhausted from commentating on it, but it was so much fun.
Damian, what are your thoughts? Maybe I'm getting a bit carried away. I'm just trying to think of somebody who it's probably because I've seen so much in the last 18 months of hardcore matches where Djokovic is going in against Rublev, against Sinner to some extent, although perhaps not so much on a hard court, because I think they've played twice at Wimbledon, maybe once.
Yeah,
on
they haven't played on hard court
yeah,
yet. But
right.
if they did, I know what you mean. Like if they
Yeah.
did, that the same would have happened basically as against Rublev. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nerland's upset because I posted his Federer comment on for less than 60 seconds. Nerland, of course, believes that he needs to have a threshold of at least 60 seconds on screen. So what about having it on there again twice? It's in response to, again, what I was saying from the back of the court. And, of course, Federer did beat Novak in this exact match. Was it the second or the third match in 2019 when Federer beat third
It
match?
was a shootout.
Yeah, it was a sort of a quarterfinal, as some Spanish people have referenced it. What are your thoughts on the match, Damian, and where it was kind of won and lost?
Yeah, I think Sinner has made a ton of progress. That's pretty clear. His serving, even though helped by the pacey conditions in Turin. And by the way, I'm glad to see that they are so fast, because Nurlan was already there in the comments on Sunday when Djokovic and Rune were playing, and he was like, the fast conditions in Turin are so overrated. And I actually had to agree with him on that day, because I didn't see at all like what I was sort of hoping for in this matchup. So for like Djokovic's +1 aggression to just completely melt down Rune. And it just turns out that it was just Rune who managed to play completely the same tennis as in Paris, against Djokovic, and like actually counterpunch against him, wait him out. Here, yeah, clearly, I mean, these are some of the fastest courts on the circuit. Carlos Alcaraz, of course, has said it, and I don't think he's completely wrong, to just bring up that maybe we shouldn't play in these conditions if we don't have them on tour at all before. Like maybe we should just have an event or two earlier than that, which is that fast. But anyway, what I was trying to say, and then got sidetracked, is that basically we're all sort of hoping to check out whether Sinner's improvements match up against Djokovic as well. And to an extent, I think the Medvedev matchup gave us a pretty clear idea that he was going to be a bit more willing to step out of his comfort zone, throw in a random drop shot here or there, open up the angles as well. Like he's just not going at Djokovic with that stupid linear power, which he sort of used to do. And this is how Rublev plays against Djokovic. This is how a lot of players play against Djokovic, and he's probably the best ever at handling it. I mean, given his absolute mastery of absorbing and redirecting pace. So, yeah, Sinner just goes for something more ballsy and pulls it off as well against Djokovic. And I love the sort of few moments we had in this match where he, I would say, smelled blood, and for a few minutes he just got absolutely unplayable. That was the break from Love 40, of course, in the opening set, the break in the third set as well, but also the way he won the match. The first 5 points of the third set tiebreak, let's say that. He just plays with so much energy there. I think he also, with the crowd in Turin, on a few occasions you could probably see that he's like really pumped up by it. There were some reactions that maybe you wouldn't usually get from Yannick Sinner. And I loved how he performed in this, and also how well he managed to overcome, losing that break in the third set. Also losing the second set in a tiebreak, which was one of the only real moments in the match when Djokovic clearly outplayed him in all of the longer exchanges. That was the second set tiebreak. And he comes back for the third one, catches a wonderful return, which actually also is probably one of the biggest things today, that he won the, if you may, serve return battle over Djokovic, which is really tough on these courts. On courts like this, Djokovic, one of the best servers in the world right now, which is wild because, of course, that's something pretty fresh for him to have that moniker. And returning, the best ever, especially on a fast court like that. No one can do it like him. Today, Sinner actually did it better, to an extent. Over the course of the match, of course, we did not have many breakpoint chances. Probably Sinner was even the one who was sometimes maybe a little more in trouble with like 15-30s. But overall, I would say, the reactive returns, how aggressive he was able to be, it won him the second point of the tiebreak. It won him the break in the third set as well. Just absolutely fabulous. And all the improvements that we've seen against Medvedev, I think they translated very nicely to this matchup as well, which sort of we could have expected because it's a similar dynamic, but it's a different opponent. It's someone we just perceive as greater, because he is, and because he has been better than Medvedev this year. But that's why we weren't certain if that was still going to hold up, and it did.
Jethro, there are sort of one or two things to pick up from Damian there, and one or two things to add to that. Just sort of individual words from Yannick, but also from Novak today. Return. I mean, so many times on the stream we were talking about that, or at least I was in the comments. But of course, you were on the commentary. I also mentioned with Novak as well. I mean, I know Novak can do this, but still, certain shots that he pulled off today were just like, wow, how do you, even though I've been watching Novak for 20 years do some of this, it was still like, how did he get that angle? How did he get that depth of such a good shot from Sinner? Therefore, it was a Sinner win today rather than Novak loss, right? Or you tell me.
Yeah, no, my eyes, it was definitely a Sinner win. It was for me, it was quite comparable to team beating Djokovic both those years, 2019, 2020 team at the ATP Finals. I thought Djokovic, a couple of his decisions at times were a bit iffy. His reliance on the serve and volley,
There was one
especially
in
on
the
second
tiebreak, wasn't there?
serves.
Was it one in the tiebreak when he came into the net off a sort
Yeah,
of an average backhand? I think it wasn't a
yeah.
serve one, but yeah.
It was some of his decisions to come into the net when Sinner kind of had time on the ball, just absolutely wallop beforehand at him, was a bit suspect. But I think he was just trying to shorten some of the points, and he likes to vary things up, so I can't really blame him for that, because the stats even showed Yannick was overall killing him in the baseline rallies that were going over 9 shots. So it was honestly a Sinner win. I thought Djokovic played really well. That second set tie break, he did everything he needed to do. Sinner felt the pressure, and he knew how to do it. And I don't think even he expected Sinner to play that well in the third for the entire set. One shot that stood out to me from Djokovic was it was after Sinner had broken in the third, and Sinner pulled him out wide on a backhand, and he just hit it straight back at Sinner's feet right on the baseline.
Yeah.
I was just like, how?
Yeah.
It was kind of just insane shot making from both. For me, that's one of the matches of the year. It's top 3. I'm trying to think of others that are better than it.
I mean, the quality was good from both. I think we had sort of both players playing well at various points and probably the same time. Also, with you and Jamie as well, you did highlight, though, despite the fact that, as Damian was suggesting, there was a few 15-30s on Yannick's serve. As Jamie and I have been saying for years, we call them sniffs, and now Jethro is on the sniff bandwagon as well. You on the sniff train as well. Let's not get confused with Dan Evans, though, at this point regarding sniff. Anyway, before we get banned,
that sounds fun. We can join.
Yeah, but there were a few. But nevertheless, Jethro, Sinner wasn't broken until he was up a break in the deciding set, and you're thinking, okay, now it's Yannick's to lose, and yet, of course, once Novak broke, you, me, Jamie, and everyone and their cats and dogs and whatever else were thinking, well, now it's Novak, surely, especially when it went into a tiebreak. So I guess, Jethro, we still need to sort of don our caps as well towards Yannick in terms of a mental battle as well.
Yeah, no, he kept his composure the whole match, which really surprised me. I think, Yannick like a year or two ago, probably even a year ago, if he'd lost that second set tiebreak, he probably would have been dead in the water, and it definitely would have been if he'd got broken back in that third. So just to keep going, and he kept holding so easy, like he served amazing. Every time he got in a tricky spot, he either hit a perfect serve or he played a perfect point. He was just ice cold on the break points today. Yeah, and I don't want to get too excited because I know it is the end of the season, but I think this has been coming for a while for Sinner. So
yeah,
I stand by what I said at the start of the stream when I said that he's my second favorite for the Australian Open, and he still is, especially after that.
You also sort of countered yourself by saying recency bias and things can change in 2 or 3 months, and we can watch the United Cup and all sorts. But Damian, it's been said, but I think it needs to be emphasized today more than ever. Is the Yannick Sinner serve is that the main area in which we're seeing results now, like the ones we had against Medvedev and now today? Is that the main reason?
It's hard to call the main reason, but certainly one of the most prevalent ones. Always been a bit of a, I guess, untapped potential of his game. He is tall enough, certainly. But, with age, players develop that shot usually around, where Sinner is at the moment. That's quite common. And Obviously, he has an excellent team as well with Darren Cahill in the sort of main steer. But yeah, 3 points always important, and especially if you're sort of expecting to be losing the baseline battle. But he was not doing that today. But like in matchups with Medvedev, Djokovic, he used to in the past. So like one very easy sort of area of for improvement if it's actually easy to improve your serve, which of course it's not, but like one that is just very clearly visible was always that. But yeah, I think today probably at the whole package, maybe even more so the returning, which we didn't need to improve. It was pretty elite in the first place. But yeah, probably today, just the fact that the serve managed to just keep him going for so many games with Djokovic, kind of helped by the touring conditions. But then again, you could make the argument that he was, if not out serving Djokovic, then just as good as him the entire match, and that was really enough to keep him in it. And of course, they both won 109 points to end the match, so it was a very tight affair. But he won the more important ones at least, or at least he had these 3 or 4 patches where he just won a few of them in succession, and that was really what turned it for him in his favor.
I think this is an interesting point here from Gene, who I know is a Novak fan. Probably if you're Novak or a fan of his, and this could be an issue for Novak going forward, is probably these kind of losses are just sort of, well, it's still an insane career. It's still an insane year. Gene even here suggesting he's happy for Sinner. I wonder when that will seep into even a competitor like Novak. I don't think it seeped in today, but I wonder at what point it does get for Novak, where it's like, because I think this is a danger for all tennis players, from beginners, intermediates to advanced to professionals to club lads, is you can get into a bit of a daydream about defeats, if you like, and it's kind of like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to try my best, and I don't think we're seeing that anywhere near that point from Novak. And it might be another year, it might be another 5 years, it might never happen. But I think for his fans in particular, I can imagine how it's like winning another ATP Tour Finals or not, as you would say, Damian, doesn't matter.
No, I mean, for him, I don't believe this is something that can ever happen for any professional sportsman, really. Like, no. Imagine going out onto the court in like an amateur match against anyone, really, and thinking, oh, it's okay, I'm going to beat him tomorrow. No, I mean, you have to grind out. You have to basically try to even, I don't know, roll in the clay and try to get that point, try to get that next game. No, definitely not. For his fans, I also don't feel like it's gonna matter. This is his second loss since Roland Garros, and yet Gene is disappointed. That's how it works. I mean, you just always want more. You always move the goalposts. If your favorite player wins 30 matches in a row, you're gonna want him to win the 31st. You're not gonna be like, oh, and we had the streak. It's fine. When Iga Świątek lost the 38th match, no one was like, such a good season.
On a streak, I completely agree, because you want the streak to keep going. And I think to some extent,
it's like a streak. I mean, Djokovic has been 32-1 since Roland Garros.
But then it's not a streak, is it?
But it's like a streak. It's like a ridiculous record.
I can say this is like a dog, but it's still not a dog.
But then the streak was like 20. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, of course I get it. But I do think if you're a Novak fan and Novak himself, you're probably looking at what else is there to tick off. Well, he's just, I think he's going to get the 400 weeks if he hasn't done so already. I think he's got another 6 weeks.
He's going to get it. Yeah, it's just a round robin match. Let's not talk about it.
Well, that's the other thing as well, and that's why I think Gene's comment in the chat is even more relevant as well, because it's just around. So he beats Hubi on Thursday, I guess it is. Then it's no big deal. Jethro, is But is he in danger of going out? I mean, it's a 3-horse race now, with Rune, of course, winning in straight sets today, at least as far as the table is concerned, with Tsitsipas's injury. I guess the combination would be, basically a straightforward, any kind of Novak loss, because he lost in 3 sets, actually. So he won in 3 sets, lost in 3 sets. If he lost, say, in 3 sets to Hubi, and
No.
Rune won in
No.
3 sets.
Hurkacz winning automatically means that Sinner is in.
Okay, yeah. So basically a Hurkacz, if Rune beats
Hurkacz win automatically means that Sinner is in. The only 2 options where Sinner can go out.
No,
is
not
actually
Sinner. I'm thinking about Djokovic going out.
Djokovic going out. Oh yeah, then there are a few, of course. Yeah.
But I think, for example, a Hubi win in 3 sets over Novak, combined with a Sinner win over Rune.
Regardless, like if Djokovic loses against Hurkacz, I think he's.
If Sinner beats Rune, then the 2 will be on 1 match win each.
Yeah.
And then it'll come down to sets 1. And it depends, I guess, on the nature of Rune's loss to. We need Mario on the stream because he loves to get a pen and paper out.
Yeah, but
he's figured out all the scenarios.
If Hurkacz defeats Djokovic, you're talking about this, and then Sinner beats Rune, right?
Yep.
Then Djokovic qualifies anyway.
What about if it's a straight sets win for Hubi?
It doesn't matter, right?
But then
okay, Mario. Speaking of Mario, he has just posted the updated scenarios.
Okay, tell us what has he tweeted.
Okay, so number 1, regardless of score, if Djokovic beats Hurkacz and Sinner beats Rune, then Sinner wins the group and Djokovic goes second.
Yeah,
that's ATP website, by the way, not Mario. So he just posted.
Well, he's tweeted it out, but yeah. And then number 2, regardless of the score, if Hurkacz beats Djokovic and Sinner defeats Rune, then Sinner wins the group and Djokovic still goes through it second. If Hurkacz beats Djokovic and Rune beats Sinner,
Jethro will never remember this anyway. You guys, just check it. Just check it.
There
yourself.
are 7 scenarios. Like, here we go.
Oh, the key scenario I'm interested in.
Read it yourselves. I did enough.
Yeah.
The
key thing is that Sinner doesn't have to qualify, and like he legit doesn't have to qualify.
I mean, Sinner has qualified right now.
No, after this, he does not have to qualify whatsoever. He actually doesn't. Even if he wins a set, he's not guaranteed in.
Really?
Because
if Sinner could lose in 3 sets.
Check out scenario number 5.
You sound like a lawyer in a.
No, but
if Novak Djokovic defeats Hurkacz in 2 sets and Rune defeats Sinner in 2 sets, then Rune wins the group. Yeah, there we. Actually, I'm looking at. Yeah. No, actually, I'm looking at the 5th. If Novak Djokovic Rune beats in 3 sets, then Hurkacz is eliminated and all the remaining players determined by. But also number 4.
Yeah, but then he doesn't win a set. So basically, he can only be eliminated if Djokovic beats Hurkacz in 2, which is obviously very doable. And then even winning a set against Rune doesn't even give him any confirmation.
Well, guys, just go out and win your matches, all right? That's all I would say. I'm Coach John here. Just go and win more points, and even that won't be enough. But you know what I mean. Go and win the match. Yeah, that's what I would suggest to each player. But
if Sinner doesn't want to meet Djokovic in the final, shouldn't he purposefully lose to Rune?
Depends who plays first,
which
probably will be Djokovic Hurkacz.
Yeah.
Even it's the less important match. And then it depends. Like if there is a chance for him to do it, I don't think he's going to do it like this. Like he's not going to want it like that. But there could be a certain struggle to repeat this emotional high from today. And in general, just the fact that he won 2 great matches at the ATP Finals, he's still not qualified. He's going to be playing for nothing potentially if Djokovic loses a set, right? Yeah, basically, if Djokovic loses a set against Hurkacz, then Sinner is not playing for much in the one against Rune. I mean, he's already going to be qualified. So yeah, it could really influence his motivation, and then we might see some permutations in which Djokovic is out. But yeah, I was mostly looking at whether Sinner can be out. Like Djokovic is, not in trouble because he plays Furkac next, but like he is in a tough situation. Obviously, he is 1-1. Like you expect to be in a tough spot if you're 1-1.
I
The
still
main thing is
think
that Sinner has a very realistic chance of not going through.
I still think motivation, and this is not regarding what I said earlier and Novak and motivation. In fact, it's the other way around. In a one-off match, the Hurkacz Djokovic match, the edge that maybe you do need to perform at your absolute best. Maybe for Hurkacz it'll help the fact that it doesn't matter if he wins or loses,
Yeah.
or maybe. But
Absolutely.
I still think, Damian, that having that little bit of necessity to get the result will probably get Novak over the line.
Novak, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that there's a very realistic chance that Sinner will not be in the semis.
There's a chance, yeah. Anyway,
It-
anything to sort of comment on some of these sort of thoughts that Damian and I have shared, Jethro?
Yeah, you're talking about winning streaks. You didn't mention the best winning streak of the entire season.
Tell me.
Sebastian Baez,
Sebastian Baez, 12 matches undefeated,
12,
baby.
yeah.
12.
After going 1-18 last year. Come on, 12 in a row. Unreal.
And
1
there
and
was
18?
were they all on hard court as well, or
No, there was 5 on clay, 7. 7 on hard.
hardcourt?
You had 5 at Winston Stadium, 2 US Open.
Okay, so it was some of those were post Roland Garros in that unusual sort of spell. What did he win a tournament in the midst of that clay court run? I guess he must have done.
On 2.
Two tournaments. Yeah, one on clay,
Yeah.
one on hard.
Yeah.
John, your lack of attention for 250s is scary.
Yeah.
I love 250s. I want 250s to stay.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean,
I
okay.
do. I might forget things, but listen, I did a stream last night with Nick on the Billie Jean King Cup, and I was forgetting results from 24 hours before. So please, I think I said 2 or 3 times. I repeated it as well. I knew that it was 6-2, 6-3, but I kept calling it 6-2, 6-2. I was listening to the podcast back again today, and I was cringing as I kept hearing myself call it 6-2, 6-2. But I know it was 6-3, 6-2, 6-3. It was the last match with Layla and Jasmine. Of course, I call them Layla and Jasmine because I know them.
They're friends.
Yeah, Layla's a bit of a stretch. I haven't had a 1-to-1 with her yet, but much as I would love to have
Jasmine,
Layla.
you did, and you
Jasmine,
you
yeah.
showed her your knowledge of Polish.
Did I, Jasmine? I don't think
I
I
don't
did.
know.
Not in the 1-to-1. I didn't. Maybe when I get
Okay.
even more accustomed to Jasmine, I will. But not yet. There was something. Oh yeah, I just want to say something. The people might be going, how come you did 7 minutes with Daniel Collins and you did 1 minute with Trevisan and 2 minutes with Jasmine Paolini? Well, the Italian media guy was far stricter than Pat. By the way, the US media guy, very nice. He was like, John, how long do you want? I was like, well, how much time have you got? Off you go. So that was that. The Italian guy was like, 2 questions. I was like, okay. And one of them was like a 1A and a 1B. And then there was like a 2. And afterwards he said, I told you 2 questions. I was like, okay, all right. He was tough. He was tough. Anyway, I digress. People are not tuning in to hear about that. They are tuning in to hear about ATP Tour Finals, and in particular the match we've just witnessed. Jethro, you called it one of the matches of the year. Any sort of final thoughts on that? And then we'll sort of round up any other ATP Tour Finals before we close the show.
Yeah, I stand by it. I thought it when I was watching. It was obviously a great pleasure to commentate on it live. Yeah, I'm still kind of in shock, to be honest. How do you feel?
I mean, Jethro, what I will say is that there are times when many of us, I'm thinking about, RIP Jakub, when he was commentating, I think with Miles on the semi-final between Sabalenka and Mukova, and how that sort of just took their breath away when they were watching that in Roland Garros. how it was for me live commentating on Djokovic and Alcaraz this year, and I'm sure there's many matches that other people have done. I remember feeling the same as well after Alcaraz and Djokovic in Cincinnati, and I guess that's kind of where you're at. You've just sort of been in that zone, albeit you've been sharing the zone with Jamie. But you do feel as though, I mean, there's not been a lot of contenders, despite Shrihari's insistence that Medvedev, Zverev at Indian Wells, which
Please
just
don't.
Like I said on the stream, he would not have said that if Zverev had won. He would not have even thought about the match again.
right, of course.
It's
not.
weird that he even mentions Zverev by name and not by a certain animal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that. I saw bits of. No, I was watching that in a bar, and it barely caught. I mean, it was catching my attention because it's tennis, and it went to a third set tiebreak. But there was nothing remarkable about it for me before then.
Yeah, I agree that there's a bit of a lack of contenders. Like, honestly, I only see two.
There's two standouts.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
let's hear.
The two Alcaraz Djokovic.
The obvious
matches.
ones. No, actually, I was thinking of this one, Sinner Djokovic.
Oh, okay.
And
Alcaraz
And
Djokovic.
Cincinnati.
You don't think Wimbledon's final though?
Wimbledon is fine, but like distinctly behind these two for me.
The problem I have with Cincinnati, and it's not a problem because I still thought it was insane, was it could have and perhaps should have been kind of rudimentary. For a set and a half, it was sort of, whereas you could say the same about Wimbledon maybe after set one, but that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I'm not saying it's not been in the top five easily. I just don't know if I would dismiss Wimbledon over those two are for me a nip and tuck. In fact, I would probably put Wimbledon top because of the magnitude of the occasion, which I do think is important.
I'm definitely putting those in the top three tonight's match and those two top three.
Yeah.
Hey, Miles.
And then I think there's a lot of contenders. Like I think quite a lot of them hinge on the result. Like I gave a shout out to Team Gera and Kitzbühel, but if Gera had won that match, would I be saying this? I don't know
why Damian.
That's delusional.
Damian is down.
It was great.
On greats trying to relive former glories such as Murray and Team. I don't know why Damian.
I'm not down on Dominic Team. No, not really. But yeah,
everyone's down on Dominic Team these days.
I mean, he's kind of tired of the Dominic Team's back narrative, aren't you, Damian?
It's every time he wins a match.
I don't believe in it. But
he hits one backhand. He hits one backhand, and we're going Dominic Team's back.
I think it did stop recently. Like pretty after Kitzbühel probably. I haven't really seen it all that much, but so yeah, I haven't really felt able to be tired of that. Murray, there was a point when everyone was like, Murray plays a decent match, and people are like, okay, so when is he back in a slam second week? But this is already done as well. So I think these trends that you pointed out have gotten a little less irritating. Matches like Marocha and Alcaraz, which Keen just mentioned, I don't think they ever can really count. These are ridiculous singular performances. Individual performances, top 5 of the year, why not? I don't know, I actually never tried making that sort of a list, but it's not much of the year contender. I think these three are just so far above the rest, and maybe Team Gera, maybe Medvedev, Zverev, like maybe they're good enough to make the top 10. But they just don't.
I mean, I liked Alcaraz.
We're not putting Dominic Team anywhere near a Medvedev Zverev matchup. I'm saying that. I
agree with you.
I'd rather watch Team win 6-love, 6-love to a challenger player than ever watch Medvedev Zverev play each other ever again.
We'll go much deeper, probably in December, into matches of the year and all that other stuff for sure. I do want to just sort of add something because Miles has commented as well that magnitude does matter, for me at least.
But this is magnitude already.
I agree, ATP but I'm just saying, and I know he's highlighting the round robin thing, but I just mean that if you have two matches and they were equal, just say they were equal. One was Cincinnati final, one was Wimbledon final. That would, for me, propel Wimbledon higher, because it's like Diego Maradona's goal against England, Mexico '86, and I'm sure you remember that one, Damien. You were probably, you
I
were
mean, there are two, right? One of them is
yeah, well, there were two. Yeah, I'm talking about the second one when it comes to greatest goal. But
passes 7 people. Yeah.
but there could be an equal goal scored on a park somewhere in Warsaw tomorrow, and you go, wow, that was a great goal. Yeah, but it wasn't the World Cup quarterfinal. So, and let's bring Jethro into this. Maybe there was again, I'm going to talk about something that was probably before Jethro was born, but there could be a David Campese. I think his name was David, but certainly Campese.
Oh, yeah.
Goose Duck or whatever it's called. Goose Step.
Goose Duck. The Goose Step. He invented it.
Yeah, Goose Duck. Goose Duck is two birds. Goose Step is a bird and a movement. Thank you. And maybe that's performed, in a club match
what
in
the
third
hell are
league.
you even talking about?
Don't worry. It's like you could talk about the best darts performance.
Yeah, but I love darts as well, so that
it could be in a pub in Gdansk, right, on a Thursday night. But it doesn't mean the same as the I don't know is it called the World Finals? What's the
World Darts Championship?
Yeah.
World Darts Championship.
And last year, Van Gogh and v Smith, that leg, Damon, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course.
That's the most feral I've ever gone watching darts. My goodness, insane.
Let's round off this spontaneous episode by moving away from what was obviously a sensational match and just having a quick look back, I guess, on the situation where we're at now. And I just want to touch upon the Tsitsipas thing with him being injured. I personally think that some of the outrage towards Tsitsipas has probably been unjustified. You're going to give it a go. Me, you're going to give it a go. And by the way, it seems like the injury that meant that he didn't, continue today was actually a different injury, although it could be one of 3 or 4 that he was carrying into the tournament. But it appeared to be the elbow that was causing him an issue on Friday, at least when people were suggesting. But it's the last tournament of the year. Pull out of an exhibition, sure. Pull out of X, Y, and Z. Pull out of a 250, maybe. But, probably he's, as Jake is suggesting, he's earned his right to be there. Ghost is saying, by the way, these people are actually reacting to my comments before I'm even finishing this. I'm very impressed with how quick
you haven't even said anything. John is wrong.
I think I just said, to be fair, Tsitsipas, and people are already. What are your thoughts, Jethro?
I was disappointed. I mean, I did read that he said he felt it in the warm up, like he felt it go in the warm up, which he could be lying and he could be turning up for the check. These are very possible, but I'd want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a shame. It's a shame for the tournament. It's a shame for the group as well because it messes up with the whole sets won and everything. But
I know, but would you?
Yeah, I'm kind of
for beating Taylor in the Wimbledon quarterfinal. I mean,
I did have a go at him, not to his face, obviously, but I do remember saying, "Just retire, please. You're killing yourself."
Yeah, but you gotta. It's not his fault that Taylor couldn't beat him when he was lame, and then he
could beat Djokovic with no.
Rafa still practiced the next day, hoping that he'd be okay, but he just knew it was not going to happen.
It was a shame. Yeah, I mean, I even said that I was streaming on here when Nadal was playing Mackenzie McDonald at the Australian Open this year, and his hip went, and I was like, "Get off the court, retire. You have nothing to prove." But he doesn't, and I wish more players would do it.
Yeah, but that's almost a different sort of argument, because I mean, if you're a Tsitsipas fan and then he ends up missing the Australian Open because of this, then you might go, well, maybe him. But I don't know. I just think that some of us on social media, who would have thought, have fallen into the trap of just being annoyed with Tsitsipas about a dozen other things. And we've kind of brought that into our thinking when it comes to today. I don't know what you think about that, Damian.
Nothing wrong with what he did. Absolutely zero. I mean, he comes into the ATP Finals. He gets the green light from the doctors on Sunday. He plays a match where, he's not perfect, but physically he's okay. Everything is fine. And then he steps onto the court and, let's say, this even happened, training yesterday. I mean, he tries to play. There's nothing he can do. He decides to retire. Perfectly, everything is fine. He didn't do it for the money because, well, he has more money than he can ever spend, really. Like, the guy has earned $4 million on the court this year. He's not really going to risk his health for 80,000. And
Right.
yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. Like,
It's not the same as going to Saudi Arabia and
yeah,
quadrupling
it's unfortunate for the spectators who bought the tickets, and I feel like they are the only sort of social group that I can understand being not outraged, but I can understand being disappointed. But it shouldn't be directed at Steph. Of course, it's not a perfect thing that you got, like the exhibition of Hurkacz Fritz. Like, it's not a perfect solution, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
They might as well just not give you anything because there was the doubles earlier and no one cares about it. But still, the exposure is sort of there in the ATP Finals. You got a doubles match, so they don't have to give you anything, but they actually have this thing in place where I heard actually today that Hurkacz, every single match at the ATP Finals, he had to wait there until the 50th minute. Because if they play over 50 minutes, then there's no exhibition. But the whole ATP Finals, that was the plan. That if there's a retirement before the 50-minute mark, then Hurkacz and Fritz come in. Fritz obviously also got booed a little bit, which, I guess people just weren't really aware that he's also not in the best physical shape.
Yeah.
Which kind of bodes the question for me, like, why is Fritz there as the second alternate if he's not fit? Because, well, the second alternate theoretically is supposed to come in after the first alternate. It has happened in the past.
Which would
So
be
then
Dimonor, would it? Or
I mean, depends who would want to come, right, to tune in right now.
okay.
Yeah, but I don't think Tsitsipas did anything wrong. Of course, Hurkacz is still going to play. Yeah, playing just one match doesn't give you any chance to qualify, but he gets a chance to play for 200 points. He gets a chance to play for a lot of money. Gets this sort of free attitude against Djokovic. We'll see what he does with it. He hasn't beaten Djokovic yet. Of course, if he does, it would massively shake up, the group scenarios. So he is still important. It's still an important match for Djokovic, which I guess, will still mean that people will watch it. It's not a completely dead rubber. So yeah, all in all, I don't really see the problem with Tsitsipas here. It's not like he was dying on Sunday and it was clear that on Tuesday he's not going to be able to compete. That wasn't true at all. As Jethro said, like, he could be lying about the warm-up, but I don't really see why we could sort of look for evidence to suggest that he is lying, because there's no way of doing that. Like, we have to just assume that what he said is true. And on Sunday he was okay. He was okay to play, and that's all we know. So
I'll say in his defense as well, I do think, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Tsitsipas. I wouldn't say I particularly dislike him, but I'm not a fan either. But I do think he gets quite harshly criticized all the time for anything. In comparison to certain other players on tour who are loved and adored despite various on and off court things going on. I'll bring up Zverev. He seems to have, the domestic violence cases, two against them, one so clearly evidence that he's being, he's been handed a penalty order.
So you think he's getting more love than Tsitsipas?
Yeah, like, if you're looking like it's not necessarily like tennis Twitter in terms of like fan accounts and stuff. It's more in the replies to tweets of like the ATP and in the Instagram comments. It's kind of the more casual fans who just comment and slate Tsitsipas to shreds, and then Zverev just gets all this love and adoration, and maybe they just don't know about it, or maybe they just don't care. But I don't know. I think Tsitsipas has done and said some slightly odd, questionable things, and there's been some issues, but he's not evil, and I just think people should probably just give him a break. But I can't help but feel bad for the guy, because he just
sometimes
he can't do the right thing in anyone's eyes half the time.
He's just quirky, right?
And like, he's different, and people have a real issue with that. And
I don't
so
mind
I do feel sorry for him, to be honest.
Yeah, and I get that, I'm someone. By the way, just very quickly on Zverev, and I'm very happy to move on very quickly as well. But the only thing I would say is it's kind of curious how the German media just ignores it. Basically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is a curious thing. I mean, commentators just never mention it. I get it as well. Even on here, I remember Damian and I were sort of skirting around the issue for about half an hour, I think, during the match with Sinner, as we were struggling to stay awake at like 6 a.m. In September. But we did sort of touch upon it, and I just basically said, listen, I just don't know, and I know what you mean regarding the evidence with Zverev, and but I still don't categorically know, and therefore, for now, I'm okay with talking about his tennis, but I just don't know. I get why people are very, particularly given the level of evidence against him, but he's still not been charged. He's still not been arrested. He's still not been. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. When I don't know something, I'm more than happy to say that, and I'm more than happy to know when I do know. Regarding Tsitsipas, though, I think he's the best example of something that I'm always preaching in life, not just in tennis. Is case by case. So you can show me something with Zverev. There we go. Be careful with this one. You can show me something with Tsitsipas, and it's like, yeah, that was a dumb thing to say. You know, when he made the comment regarding Kyrgios and basketball and gentleman behavior in tennis, and I was like, Tsitsipas, that's so like demeaning, if you like, in my opinion, and just out of touch and
Elitist.
Elitist, definitely, and so on and so forth. I don't think he's genuinely thinking necessarily along those lines, as I think Damian touched upon, but I'm quite happy to put that into a dumb comment category and isolate it, just like I am also, because the pity with that is if you're a Kyrgios fan, in the argument that they've had, is that you go, there you go, and you grab hold of that, there you go, the elitist problem.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, we should also isolate the way that Kyrgios behaved on that day, which for me was pretty ugly. However, you can also isolate the Tsitsipas whacking the ball into the crowd. And again, that is completely wrong. And you're right. If it hits someone, as Kyrgios highlighted he shouldn't be. I agree. But you could just isolate so many
That
things.
match was awful. My God. It's really, there's a whole YouTube video. Ugh.
Did you like that Wimbledon match?
There's a YouTube video of the match, like all the lowlights, I'll call them.
All the drama.
Yeah. I mean, I found Kyrgios in that Wimbledon run, unfortunately, as I came across him in press for the only time actually during that tournament. I found him, unfortunately, bully-ish.
He was vile, and he was vile all match against Tsitsipas. But you go on the YouTube video, and all the comments again just slating Tsitsipas, saying it's all his fault. I'm like, did you not see Kyrgios riling him up for the first 2 hours, and screaming at the umpire, swearing at the line judges, and when the line judge reports him, then he screams at them again. I'm like, you guys just want to gloss over. Like Kyrgios is another one who gets an insanely massive free pass from mostly people who don't really watch tennis, because most actual tennis fans aren't particularly interested in him. But
Keane has an alternative opinion, but I will elaborate another day on Nick and why
I'll just say one thing about the chat, because I think Keane said that so Germany probably don't report on Zverev because he's basically Russian. Well, that from what I can see, I don't think that's true at all. That Germany doesn't report on
Germany's
him.
very. Let me tell you this.
Popular.
Let me say this, Damian, as somebody who does work in German media. They're extremely sensitive about legal cases. Okay, so that's one thing, at least in terms of the written media. So
it's
much
not that they don't report on Zverev.
No, well, but they don't report on. Yeah, they don't report on. So
this
that's slightly
only,
different.
right?
They also will skirt around and try and avoid certain other things. And when they do report on it, they will give the what's the word? The perpetrator, if you like, a bizarre name. They'll call them Bob C or something. I mean, if Donald Trump gets indicted, let's say, or gets arrested, they'll call him Donald T. and we'll all know who it is. But we can't show a picture of him in on the thing, and as the main.
Yeah, we have these rules too, but it's basically not what I'm referring to. Like
Okay.
Keane just said that Germany probably doesn't report on him in general, like not only about the legal case, which I don't think is true. Like I think in Germany, actually, he is uber popular. It's just that he, this thing is not mentioned, but like in general, there is a lot of content on him, right?
Yes, but I don't see that many articles, put it that way, regarding his legal scenario. It seems to be more of a outside Germany thing.
Yeah, but
maybe
I'm not
more-
talking about the legal scenario.
Okay, sorry.
We're still not on the same wavelength.
I've heard a
Maybe
few
it's the
times
wine.
that
Maybe it's the wine.
I've heard a few times that he's not a very big draw in Germany. Apparently, he demands a huge appearance fee in Halle, and they're like, "Well, not that many people are interested in coming to watch you." To be honest,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I don't know how true that is. I've heard it from a few people, but
and again, I'll just be talking on hearsay when it comes to that, because actually, I would say that a lot of Germans' favorite male player will be Zverev, because he's the highest guy in the rankings.
yeah, should be
Anyway.
Struff.
Definitely should be Struff, yeah, and I hope that someday he gets over the line.
God, I love Kohlschreiber.
Altmaier.
Is Martera German? Isn't Martera German?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's mine.
Gonna watch him tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, he's been. I've always been a fan of him.
There we go.
Yeah, he's like fully peaking right now.
Yeah.
Actually just smashed Oscar Otte yesterday, 6-3, 6 love.
Nice.
And gonna play Artur Ferry.
Oh, short Brit King. Yes.
Yep.
Do you think he'll go back to college?
I actually talked to him today, and he is indeed short. He is way shorter than me. And basically, he said that he is still not sure. Maybe he will go back in like April just for this season, but it's also very likely that he won't. I think, a lot will depend on his results from here, but I was actually surprised by that. I was expecting the answer to be just no, because, it's November. We have him here. He's doing so well. He's using all the accelerator spots and getting into challengers, of course, getting big runs. I don't know if he's going to get it here because, Martera is second round. But, I was actually kind of surprised that he's still considering to return to Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
Sean's just, by the way, sorry, Jethro. Sean's just saying before my time, but still, and I have no idea. I've gone back like 100 messages to see what Sean is referring to, but I don't know what that is. Maybe he's talking about the Tsitsipas Kyrgios match. Maybe that's beyond his memory bank. I don't know. Sorry, Sean, but I'm not sure what that is in reference to. But some love for Struffy as well in the chat, of course.
Yeah, we love Struffy.
Ghosty, I'm not sure. Again, this is probably a debate for another podcast, whether Europe or the US has more free speech. I'd say they're probably pretty equal.
Be glad you're not living in the UK right now, the pair of you. That's what I'll say.
Yes, indeed.
Cruella Deville getting the sack was the best way to start.
I know, I just wonder whether maybe the toys are later. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. Anyway, you put so Keane is keen, and Matthew as well. Nick does bring eyeballs, and that's true. And I enjoy his brand of tennis. And Nick asking the Washington crowd where he should serve and giving high fives. Absolutely love it. And I want that Nick Kyrgios back. That's for sure. All right. Listen, we've gone from talking about the match of the year to talking about. Oh,
he's gone. I think he's run out of battery.
Apparently, Jeffrey, you should watch the highlights again of Kyrgios Tsitsipas.
Key and I have.
Spare me that. Yeah, spare me. Absolutely.
And I watched the match when it happened. But if you're a Kyrgios fan, then you can see it through your own eyes. That's fine. But
I think I was actually driving to Braunschweig that day. If I remember correctly, people were like texting me about it. Hey, have you seen what's happening? Kyrgios Djokovic, and I was just
BBC switched over on BBC One from the dial
to
that match. That's how crazy it was. It was nuts. Yeah. And the handshake, I was like, well, this has been absolute hell, but maybe the handshake will be interesting. And it wasn't. I was like, oh, all that for nothing. But oh well.
Well, John is gone. I don't know if we just finish it up or we wait for him to return in like a minute. There was a question earlier that I might as well answer then, which was about Petros Tsitsipas and his
Was
backhand.
it?
Damian, you have seen him in person. Does Petros have a better backhand than Steph? Honestly, I don't know what to say because I would kind of have to watch him in singles more. I haven't watched him in singles in forever. Because in doubles, I feel like it's very possible. Like that's not the reason why he is struggling. Well, he's not struggling, but like that's not the reason why he's not better than he is. Probably that's his height, his serve, but not really his backhand. And I feel like in doubles, a lot of the time the one-handers get a pass because you just slam returns basically. So you have like Joe Salisbury or I don't know Florin Merja, and they are actually perfectly fine with one-handed backhand returns. So I would say yeah, Petros is fine with it. I don't think it's the main issue for him at the moment.
All right, my battery died, so I apologize for that. Keen, by the way, I'm also not just referring to that match. I'm also talking about probably Nick's behavior in the press conference, which press conferences, because actually it was after the first match that I was most frustrated with him after his histrionics against Jubb, I think it was in the first
Yeah,
round.
Paul Jubb,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
And
If only Paul Jubb got the job done in that fifth set, would have been spared.
I don't share the hate for Kyrgios,
No, listen.
I
The thing was,
He's a big
okay.
deal.
Maybe this is a personal thing rather than just. But the fact was, in that press conference, he comes into the press conference and he's highlighting how, people are having a go at him, and I'm like, I said to him, and I was a bit annoyed with, well, not a bit. I didn't really care that much, but Netflix framed the whole thing of the media being against Nick in that series,
They
and it
always do.
wasn't like that at all. And the one they did show one question for me, which was like, do you have any, sympathy for the line judges that you shout and scream at and the umpires? And he's like, they don't earn as much money as me. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, well, I'm sure they'd love to, Nick. Because they don't get abused on social media like I do. And I'm like, yeah, they don't have it, and you're just highlighting two wrongs.
Yeah,
You're highlighting.
he
You can
justifies
abuse.
it.
So that makes it makes it okay for me to shout at someone and say that they're too old and they shouldn't be a line judge at their age, and screaming at the umpire and all the rest of it. It doesn't make it okay.
I'll respond to this. I don't think he would have got defaulted, seeing as he should have had a point penalty within the first set at least twice, and it took two whole hours to even get a warning. So I think they were incredibly lenient on him, and I think umpires are told to be lenient on him because he sells tickets. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the way he behaves is shocking. But again, I just think he's a prick on and off the court, personally.
He is, but he's also a big draw.
Yeah, no, of course, I'm not denying that. That's just my opinion of him. And I'm not going to pretend that I like him. I used to like him a lot. He used to be one of my favorite players, but I kind of saw more of who he is and just thought, nah.
Yeah, and now that's why you're also probably more passionate, in the.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping to sort of cut and snip this into a nice sort of or even just put it as a podcast of a Sinner Djokovic review, and go, yep, tune in to our wonderful podcast of us three giving us sages, giving our views. But maybe I should just call it the Tsitsipas Kyrgios reprisal 18 months later. Who was in the right? Let us know.
No one. I'm gonna say something.
Oh yeah, no, they were both behaved. They both behaved terribly. It was.
I didn't even watch the match. No one was right. Let me tell you.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah, it certainly wasn't good versus bad. It was bad colliding with bad that day.
Maybe we should just end therefore on Ghosty's appraisal. Okay, let's recap. Tsitsipas is a punk, which, by the way, in the UK is actually, you're punk. You could be a cool guy.
That's a compliment.
Hubie was cheated. Sinner's a superhero, and John's gorgeous hair. Yeah. You're the second person in the last few days to mention my hair. Actually, Scott was very, very positive about my hair. He was less positive about Zverev's hair, and I was wondering what the difference is. I mean, I know we're different people and different colors of hair, but I wonder what it is about Zverev's hair that annoys Scott so much, and yet he's charmed by mine.
How
I don't
was
think
it?
it's really the hair.
Case after case, or
Case by case.
case by case? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but if
think
the cases are
that's what I have
parallel,
to say.
if the case is the same, case is the same.
No, but like the case isn't the same in terms of how Scott treats Zverev. He doesn't.
Yeah,
treat
I don't
case
think it's
by
just the
case.
hair when it comes to Zverev.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So he's
yeah.
not
It's like
using your
for the
case by
reasons we
case
all do.
strategy. But by the way, I have to say two things. One, you read that comment only because it mentioned your hair. And second thing, Scott did not just bring up your hair accidentally. He was forced to by Ghosty's comment. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
If
I
Nick
wasn't-
was British, no, not a fan of the
I
British players just
know,
because they're
I know.
British.
Nick Carter is British.
If
I
Nick
think he
was
means
British,
Kyrgios.
okay, yeah, he's getting Nick,
Yeah,
and he's got
And
Nick.
it's nothing to do
But
with
yeah,
the
actually,
releasing
Jethro is
them.
not a British type of
No.
Keen's in a Keen's
My
in a
favorite one, where my favorite players from: Spain, Argentina, and Austria.
Austria
Yeah,
and maybe Spain, given a certain T-shirt I have seen tonight, which I'm
Spain
He
was the
mentioned
first
Spain.
one I
He
saw.
mentioned Spain.
very
Spain
pleased
was
to
the first
see.
one I
But as Jamie highlighted, bearing
Who
in
is
mind the
that, by
French
the way,
Open,
from Spain?
huh?
Nadal?
Yeah, Nadal.
Yeah.
Okay.
If bearing in mind, I did like what Jamie said tonight that T-shirt, which was super cool after 21 in Australia, it was probably going to be short-lived with the French Open on the horizon.
Yeah.
It ended up being that way, but there we go. And Miles, by the way, I think he might be, I don't know, either wittingly or unwittingly teasing you, Damian, with your does it mean anything?
I don't think he did.
Iga
Purpose,
Swiatek, by
that's
the
meant
way,
for fun.
Damian, Iga Swiatek said this means a lot. And when I heard us say that, I thought, there you go, Damian. What are you going to say to that, my friend?
We balance each other out. Yeah.
All right, cool. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone in the chat. Jethro, who's done a double shift tonight. Big thanks to you. It was great having you and Jamie, as always. I would love to have you on more, but I know you're very busy bees. Damian, thank you for joining as well, pretty spontaneously at the end of your challenger and challenging day. Jethro, thanks for giggling at that. No one else. Damian smiles. Jethro giggles. I like that. Anastasia says bye. And Miles is saying see you as well for Alcaraz Rublev. Exactly. Miles is going to be up pretty early in the morning for that. And I think we're going to, if we can't do every match, we're going to do almost every match between here and the final on Sunday as the ATP year George Tour. Keen, by the way, was also asking about the next gen finals. Keen, if you want to, Keen, just spam me with do the next gen finals, and we can do maybe one or two live watch alongs for that. Sure, why not?
I love the next gen finals.
Yeah.
Although I usually find a player to root for the next year. So it was Baez, then it was Analdi, but now I know all the players this time around.
Okay.
Who? Give me a couple of names.
To be fair, Nardi is probably going to be my pick if he does qualify.
If he makes it, yeah.
Yeah.
Nardi needs the quarters in Matsuyama, and he actually has a very good draw, so he's likely going to get there. So, John, you've got Fields, Koboli, Van Asch, Stricker, Mikkelsen, Medjedovic, and the seventh is currently between Darderi, Mochizuki, and Nardi, with Nardi the most likely, probably, but Darderi actually has the lead as of right now. But he's out this week, so yeah. So,
I forgot Fields was going to play. He's too good in my eyes to be there, but I love Fields.
But like Stricker against him on a very fast court. Well, I don't know if it's going to be very fast. It's not Milan anymore. I forgot about that, actually. No clue.
I like Van Asch because of his name, because it makes me giggle.
It's not going to be Van Asch.
No, but he makes me giggle like Jethro does to a lame joke of mine.
And maybe as well.
Stricker I like because he's a bit sort of cherubic. Cherubic, is that the right word I'm using there, Jethro? He's a little bit chubby and he wants to dance with someone as well, as we saw from his win over Tsitsipas.
Like regardless, like somebody, right? Like someone who loves him. Like that's enough.
Medjedovic, I think, could do could do well. I've been impressed with him this season.
Stricker is someone that I can imagine. Sorry, Stricker is someone that I can imagine eating a Mars bar. Like most people eat bananas between like changeovers, but I can see Stricker with a Mars bar.
Marcus Willis, right?
Yeah, Marcus Willis, like drinking cola.
Did he have a Mars bar?
Snickers, I think maybe, and RV Coke. Was that Snickers?
Like not in the match against Federer, surely.
No. 2014 Knoxville actually against Tennis Sandgren, I think. So very recently, they were playing together doubles, I think. But yeah, Fields could still withdraw. I don't think so at this point. Like if he hasn't so far, right?
Damian criticizing Keane. Keane's fighting a lone battle, it seems, tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't.
I know. Me and Keane have disagreed in the last 20 minutes, but I would say Van Asch has had a pretty decent year.
At first, like at the challenger level, but he actually hasn't.
Me and Keane forming an alliance
that was more about the ATP tour. Like our talk with Keane was about the ATP tour and how he has stacked up there. And in my opinion, he has not been able to perform. Like, of course, he's made 2 quarters, but like, yeah, no. In general, his record was like 9-17 or whatever. But yeah, along with the 2 125s that he won at the beginning of the year, Sanremo and Po, I think that with that, perfectly fine, of course.
Yeah, I'd say encouragement is there though. I think next year, hopefully, I like his backhand.
He's small, so he like no.
Yeah, I can't help it.
That's small, right? But like,
I can't help it. I'm just drawn to all of them.
I don't know how small he is actually. He could be more or less my height.
He's quite slight as well.
A little smaller than me, 2 centimeters.
Well, how tall are you, Damian? 175?
180, yeah.
180?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen you face to face. I don't remember looking up to you.
That's my posture.
For some reason, Jake is laughing his proverbial off, but I always see maybe he's still watching the Mars bar thing. When is indeed, Keane. Indeed. And by the way, Keane is very quick on my serve and all sorts of things. But I'm very keen to. That was no pun intended, Keane. I'm very enthusiastic about writing that wrong. But maybe
there is a slight possibility regarding this match because I was just looking today at being at the Koblenz Challenger next year.
But I'm guessing it's before March, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem. I was thinking about that challenger myself, Damian. I was thinking exactly about that challenger, but I think I won't be around. But I was thinking about it's the same thing. I was thinking about you, me, and Koblenzing it up. It's been, but then I was like, that's going to be in February because I remember Liam being there. Liam, I mean, I don't call him more. Yeah. I was remembering how dark that February was for Liam in terms of his year. Unfortunately, just a few weeks later, he was off winning a challenger
with me watching him and also coming up to him and Damian, hello.
Yeah.
We're also friends. I mean,
yeah.
All of us are friends of Liam Brody.
Yeah, but although really, Damian, I think he knows who you are, but he doesn't know who I am. Even though I was sort of in and around, I wasn't. I tell people that I was in his box, but I wasn't in his box. I was sat behind the box.
But
I was
on the stream with him, though.
Yeah, but if you say do you remember that stream when you were on with your coach in March or whatever? He'll go, yeah, I remember. And there was some dude who was talking about Man City. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Can you remember his name? No clue. Would you recognize him from the supermarket? No idea.
That's probably true. Yeah.
But he's like, hey, Demi boy.
He's probably recognized me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there we go. All right, Jethro, big thanks again. Although this is like the third time I've said that, I do mean it. And Damian, of course, as always. And let's just let me go on a monologue, which basically ends with me saying, "Thank you for stopping by, guys. Give a wave. There we go. That works pretty well. And I say, you know the drill.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.